Oh, and thank you for joining me. Thank you for your participation in this 5-day challenge. We are on day 3. So today we're going to be talking about how to increase your online visibility with ease now. So this is such an important topic and one that's very near and dear to my heart, which I will share with you later on because it's one that I've struggled with for years, and I have some practical solutions that's going to help you overcome this. So in today's video, you're going to be learning how to shift unsupportive limiting beliefs. You're going to learn how you can step into sharing your message with ease and in a way that feels really good to you. And I'm also going to be sharing a 4-step structure on how you can be incorporating and using this in your social media every single post, every single time that you are contributing to your editorial calendar. You can do it in 4 simple steps so you feel more confident with the structure. So does that sound good? If it sounds good, let me know. And as always, remember that you can register, and I'll put that link in the notes below, for the support printable that I'll be creating to accompany today's training, because really new knowledge without implementing, without that action step, to me is a total waste of time and energy. So I know if you're watching this that you're somebody that wants a return on investment of their time, of their energy, and of the love that they're pouring into their work. So definitely remember to use that support printable so you can get the most out of today's training. Hey Heather, good to see you. Nice to have you here. So let's dive in. First, let's talk about the why. Why is it important to be online right now? So I have a couple of stats. The first one is from Obolero, and they say that there's 2.6 billion, with a B, users on Facebook every single month. And out of that amount, 1.73 billion of those users visit Facebook on a daily basis. 1.73 billion people. I mean, it's unbelievable. And then Instagram has a reach of 112.5 million users per month, and that's according to Hootsuite. So the numbers are astonishing, and it's really good to wrap our minds around that, because in most cases, we only need a small percentage, just a sliver of that population, of that user base, to create a massive impact in our business and to bring in the income that we're desiring. So we only need a sliver of that. And it's something that when we can put ourselves out there consistently, we will start to see some traction. And I'm going to share a few tips on how to do that. Good morning, Sharon. Nice to see you. Hi, Linda. Good morning. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. I value you and your time, and I love that you're showing up for yourself. So let's dive in. So one of the things when people ask me, in fact, I just had a recent client ask me, I think she watched The Social Dilemma. I don't know if you guys have seen that documentary, but it's pretty alarming, actually, the social media world. So anyway, I think she watched that Social Dilemma documentary, and one of our coaching sessions, she's like, Casey, is there any other way that I can grow my business without doing social media? And it's such a great question. And I think that there's a lot of, reasons why people are feeling that they want to pull back or even limiting how much they're putting themselves out there. And I just want you to think about a few things. Now, as you know, I've been an entrepreneur for almost 30 years, going on 30 years next year. And old school ways like trade shows, networking events, meetups, even speaking on stages, those used to be amazing ways to get lead generation and to put yourself out there, to share your message and to grow your tribe. But now, when you really think about it and you take a pause, COVID has shifted how we do business, how we are even allowed to do business. And when you think of all those ways that I just mentioned, they're either off the table completely or they have serious limitations that also limit our reach, limit the effectiveness of who we can reach and how we can communicate to people. And that's really been the majority of 2020. For the last 7 months, we've had to really think about shifting, thinking about new ways to reach people. So my answer to my client's question is, when you compare older ways that used to work compared to current ways that are working, which is creating an editorial calendar and making a commitment to show up online, you really start to understand the importance and value of embracing the now. Because digital marketing is not the future, my friends. Digital marketing is now. So, what can we do to release some inhibitions about increasing our online visibility now that we just have a little bit of a clearer understanding? And you maybe already have said, like, hey, so you know what? I know, like, I'm right there with you. I've known all along that I need to put myself out there more. I just don't know necessarily how to do it. Let me know in the comments, what do you think your biggest stumbling block is when it comes to increasing visibility? Because to me, I look at it as a two-pronged approach. One, being the emotions that are holding us back, whether it's fear or insecurity, right? Or maybe worthiness, whatever those emotions are for you. And on the other side of the coin, it could be skill set. It could be, I just don't even know how, where, I don't know like the logistical pieces of it. So typically when we think of anything in our life and business that is holding us back, it's usually a combination of two sides of the coin: the emotional piece, which is real, and the logistical skill set piece. So I want to dive into both of those, but I'm absolutely curious too if it's a combination for you, or you can just let me know, yeah, this amount or that amount. Like, yeah, maybe it's 80% mindset, 20% skill set. Let me know in the comments what that ratio is for you when you think of the difference between mindset and skill set. I'm really, really curious to see that. So interestingly enough, for those of you that have known my work or have followed me for months or years, you know that being in front of the camera and doing video was really, really painful and really difficult for me. And it's interesting now, I have some people that are like, I don't believe you. Like, you come off very natural, which, thank you, but that's not how it was. And I really, really want to be transparent here, because I spent a lot of years, even in my entrepreneurial space, taking a backseat to the leader. So for many of you, you know that I had my very successful candy company, and I did that with my best friend, who was the more exuberant one of both of us. I was really more behind the scenes. I was in the office upstairs. I was really kind of crunching numbers and processing orders and things of that nature. It was not the front face of our company for almost 2 decades. And in that, I was really able to be such a great support system, but really put the light on someone else. And I really continued to do that even through coaching and through other things that I did in my world. It was so much easier to be the cheerleader for somebody else instead of the leader of my own life. So let me know if you can relate to that, because that is a comfort zone. And I stayed in that comfort zone for years, really illuminating other women, other entrepreneurs, other people, other clients that I worked for, and did not take the opportunity to step into playing big and using my own voice. And I was really uncomfortable with being in the limelight. I was uncomfortable taking the center stage. It was so much more comfortable being behind the scenes, managing the logistics, managing the tech. I think that that's why I landed, really in the tech space, because you could orchestrate behind the scenes without having to be in front of it. So I can very much relate, and maybe that's where you are right now. And you can even see, like, if you go back and look at some of my stuff, like, for example, my Women Developing Brilliance podcast, I knew that I wanted to connect and share a big message, and I knew that I wanted to be an inspiration for female entrepreneurs. But again, if you go back and look 2 years ago when I first started doing that podcast, I didn't do a single solitary solo cast. Everything was interviewing other women. And again, it was my comfort zone of being the cheerleader, right? And it was a great way to say, wow, look at this person. Look how awesome they are. And not put that light on me. So the reason why I'm sharing that with you is because we all start somewhere. And you may be at a starting place right now in your business and your career where you may be feeling that same way, or you may be able to have some of those feelings that you can relate to, some of those feelings that I'm sharing that I had of fear and insecurity. I had a tremendous amount of body image issues that really held me back because I was constantly criticizing myself if I saw a photo or if I heard my voice or saw myself on video. So you may have some of those same issues. I did that, and I allowed that pattern and that process to kind of control me in my actions or my lack of actions for a really long time. And it got to the point where I was like, man, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to get out there, because I knew starting in about 2017 that video was going to be the way. Video was going to be the way to share our message and to get out there and to connect with people. Just like I was really appreciating watching other people's videos and seeing the glimmer in their eye and their smile, and I could really connect with their tone so much more than a static post, so much more than even just audio only. There was something really different with visual because it was kind of offering so many different sensation stimuluses. So I was hearing the person, I was seeing the person, and I could relate to their message in a much more dynamic way. So I knew several years ago that, man, this is the way, and I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to just break out and do it. And I would have go live in Facebook on my to-do list, no joke, every single solitary day. I started that, as many of us do, when a new year comes in. We're like, man, this is going to be my New Year's resolution. I'm going to increase my visibility. And so I started in January, I think of 2017, of like, this is going to be something that I'm going to commit to. And every single day it was on my to-do list. And it really started to feel like Groundhog Day. And honestly, it really started to erode my self-confidence even more, because I felt like I was a loser, that I couldn't do this task, that every single day I had to keep writing, go live on Facebook. So maybe you can relate to that. And it's so uncomfortable. And I was really in my own way. I actually had some coaching around it, and they're like, what do you think the biggest stumbling block is? And I was like, me. I'm the only thing in my way. I'm the only thing holding me back from sharing. And maybe you can relate to that. And it is a very uncomfortable and a very painful feeling. And my bestie was pretty sick of hearing me talk about it and talk about the struggle. And she thought it was this great, big, huge, complicated thing to do. And we were traveling in Hawaii because that's one of our all-time favorite places to be. And she said, so what's the big deal? Like, tell me what this complicated thing is about going live. Like, how hard is it? Like, how many layers, how many steps? Like, tell me the process so I can understand it, so I can maybe help you go through it, like help you get to the other side. And I was like, I took my phone out. We were on this beach, just hanging out, and I took my phone out, and she's like, so walk me through it. What do you got to do? I said, you have to press this button right here. And she just looked at me. She's like, what else? I'm like, that's it. She's like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, I've been listening to you go on and complain about how hard and difficult and what a big struggle it is and all of this stuff, and all you need to do is press one button? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, give me the phone. And she literally pressed it and went live. And that was the thing that made me feel like, oh, heck no. Like, I'm a pretty competitive person. And I also am very much like, I was ready. Like, I had invested in courses of like the Courageous, Confidence Club. I invested in that. I thought, well, maybe I just don't have enough confidence, which was true. So I'm like, maybe I need another course to show me how to be confident. And I invested in how to be confident on camera from another person that's a YouTuber. And I was like, maybe it's that. And then I invested in another course on how to set up your studio with understanding lighting and understanding audio, right? So course after course, program after program, YouTube after YouTube, and none of that was working. I did that for the whole year that I stayed stuck, not wanting to put myself out there, and none of that was working. So it wasn't needing to learn something else to get somewhere. What it was for me that crossed the bridge that made me push out of that stage was my bestie saying, "Are you freaking kidding me? All you have to do is press this button." And she did it in 2.2 seconds. She didn't know anything. She didn't even know what she was going to be talking about. And she just pressed go. And that to me was this like, oh my gosh, like, why have I been making this so much more difficult for myself? And I realized that the only way to break out of that is to just press go. That is it. That is the only way that you can break out of it. It is the way that we challenge ourselves to move out of our comfort zone. And then from there, we just practice. And so I went live that day on the beach with my phone, not really knowing what I was going to talk about. And I challenged myself to continue to go live. And I did. And so why I'm sharing that story with you is because I want you to know that even if something looks easy that someone else is doing right now, that there is a backstory. They didn't miraculously wake up one day and say, I'm going to just click go and it's going to look easy and effortless. There's a backstory. And so I want you to give yourself compassion and empathy for whatever story is going on for you. And I also want you to have the courage to just press go now, because I guarantee the months and months, almost a full year, I had so much more pain and struggle that I was putting on my own self that was unnecessary, that when I committed to just pressing go because I had a kick in the pants from somebody that did it with like 2-second notice, all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, like, whatever we choose to be easy will be easy. Whatever we choose to make layers and layers and layers of difficulty, it will be so difficult and so painful. The cool part is we get to decide if it's going to be easy or if it's going to be hard. And it can be that easy. And we also want to be compassionate because layers of emotional things take a lot longer than the quick fixes of learning a skill. And I think that's why so many of us, myself included, try to find another program or another thing that's going to teach us how to do it. But we need to remember that it's two sides of the coin. The emotional side of fear, insecurity, lack of confidence, and the skill set side of just how and the logistics. So we want to look at both. I'm a real big believer of looking at the mindset piece first because our thoughts control our actions. And so when we can start to reprogram our thoughts, our actions will follow suit in a much more powerful way. So let me know if that's making sense to you. I'm going to just read some of the some of the comments here. Yeah, absolutely. I think it is the skill of hooking someone's attention to my posts. I'm going to share a few tips on that. So thank you for bringing that up. And probably 80% mindset, 20% skill set. Yes. And Linda says 85 to 90% mindset. I resist social media a lot. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, cool, cool. So we're not alone in this. And I think when we think about that 80-20 rule again, and sometimes it's even 90-10, we really can understand the power of the mindset thing. And I'm going to give you a tip right now that you can utilize to help shift your perception and to help loosen the soil, right? Loosen the soil of mindset that can hold us back. So it's called metaphor and it's an NLP technique. You can absolutely do it with yourself. And I'm going to have some support printable tips and techniques for you so you can like have it all written down. You can take notes here for sure, but it's also going to be on the support printable so you'll have it laid out in front of you. But metaphor is really a powerful technique and it's simple. It's really simple, and basically it's taking something that's like something else that we can perceive our current situation differently. Because when we can start dissolving old limiting beliefs and make way for new space and to kind of rewrite our scripts, our mental scripts, and we can do that through metaphor, we can start shifting our perception. And we know when perception shifts towards the positive and we start reinforcing that belief, then our actions follow suit. So I'm going to give you an example here about metaphor. And this is actually from a real life association. So I was helping a client, her name was Courtney, and her problem was, I'm afraid to put myself out there. It really feels like a push to put myself out there on social media. So that's the problem that we started working on. So I'm going to read just literally some of the notes from our session so you can maybe self-identify and just kind of see how this can be turned around. So she said, I can't put myself out there because I feel that people will judge me. I'm afraid to put myself out there on my personal Facebook page because people don't really see me in that light. So she was really kind of confused about, well, had resistance of going on her personal page, but then also was confused on why she really needed to. So there was some skill set logistical stuff in there too, and some emotional stuff of the fear. She also had a fear that if she didn't put herself out there in business, like on social media for her business, that she would just fade away and go away. And to that point, I'm just going to side note here that people need to see us and hear from us to know who we are, who we help, and the problems that we solve. So there is some validity to some of these things, and you may be actually creating a little list for yourself of the things that are holding you back. Some of them have truth to them, right? Because we do need to do some online marketing. We do need to increase our visibility so people know who we are and how we help them. So that was one of her valid concerns on this list. She also said, I'm kind of stuck on the tech. I don't really know how to do it. I don't really know how to have something that's effective. So to Sharon's comment of how do I hook people in? How do I get them to be curious? That is a tactical skill set thing. So again, a valid concern coming up. So then I was like, all right, well, let's talk about some of the things that you're interested in. Like, what lights you up? What are you excited about? What are some of your passions? And she's like, well, I love fitness. You know, I'm a fitness coach. I love to eat good food. I love how it makes my body feel. I love to help other people optimize their own nutrition and their health and their fitness regime and start to really see results. And I love how excited they get when they start to see results. And I was like, all right, cool, awesome. So I'm just kind of keeping notes of this, and you'll start to see how this structure comes together in a very powerful way with this NLP metaphor technique. So then I was like, all right, well, let's just peel back some of the layers of what's keeping you stuck from pressing that go live button or from even doing regular social media posts. And we really broke it down into 3 top emotional things: fear, insecurity, and actually confusion was one of them. So those were kind of 3 things that were holding her back. And we talked about ways that those show up in either her life or ways that she sees those 3 things show up in other arenas. So what we're trying to do here is just distance from that situation that we're so on top of. And sometimes when we're so close to it, we can't get perspective or distance. So we started thinking about other ways that fear, insecurity, and confusion come up in either her life or in other people's life. And we kind of came up with 3 main areas. Those feelings can come up in the dating world. So maybe you're looking for your perfect partner, but you have fear, or you have insecurity, or you have even confusion of where to find that partner, right? So you can start to see these parallels of where they show up in other ways. Interviewing for a job, right? You can have fear, like, am I good enough? Am I worthy enough? Do I have the skills? You can have insecurity, right? Where it's like, I don't know. And interestingly enough, we know that one of the Harvard studies says that men, when they apply for jobs, they only need 50, 60% of the qualifications of what that job is looking for before they press go and submit their application. Conversely, women in this study felt that they needed 100% of the qualifications in the job requirements before they would even put their hat in the ring. I find that such a fascinating study. So there is a difference in perception, and a lot of that comes down to confidence and just press go, right? Just press go, figure out the solution after. So I digress, but that's like a really important study that always captures my attention. And then the other space is public speaking, right? We know that people are so afraid. It's like one of the biggest things. What do they say? Fear of speaking is right up there with fear of taxes and fear of death. That's huge, absolutely huge. So you're not alone if you're afraid to put yourself out there. But what we're trying to do here in this metaphor example is get perspective and distance ourselves from it feeling like it's all about us. Some of the things that helped me overcome this was to really put my focus on the other person and the other person's struggle, and how if I was to stay in my little cocoon, even though that was so much more comfortable, how was my message going to get heard? How were the people that needed to hear it going to transform and change or get inspired to take change in their life and business? So that was a big help for me when I shifted that clutching on of control and perfectionism and the inward stuff, and I turned it around to the outward. Who are the clients that I need to help and serve? How can I shift my kind of attention and perception on that? And that absolutely helped me soften some of those negative thoughts that were going through my head and helped me break away from the BS that was holding me back. So here's a metaphor that we came up with for Courtney, and you'll see how we incorporated all these pieces, and then I'll help you break it down so you can do it for yourself. And I also recommend that you find a buddy to do this with, because it's very powerful. We can have little twosome groups, whether you want to put that request out in the Women Developing Brilliance Facebook group for a buddy, or if you have a biz bestie that you can bounce something off of. I'll give you that structure on how to use this metaphor work to get perception, to get some distancing so you can increase your online visibility with ease. So this is what we did for Courtney. Remember when you first started working out, because remember, that was one of her passions. Your body wasn't used to it. It was downright uncomfortable at times. And for those of you that work out, that when you first start doing a workout, we can really relate to this, right? It's uncomfortable. You didn't know what or how to do things, and maybe you even dreaded it some days. Perhaps you were afraid of being judged by other people in the fitness arena that were more advanced or in better shape. However, you were determined and continued to show up for yourself. You had to push yourself out of the comfort zone and learn the science of how it all worked. Over time, you began to master the art of fitness, and now it's second nature for you. You know all the ins and outs. You're excited to share what you know and help others become the best versions of themselves. So you can see in this metaphor how we took things that Courtney could relate to and how we overlaid them with a different lens in a totally different arena to make this metaphor work for her so she could sit back and go, yeah, God, you're right. And that's exactly what's coming into play with what her current situation was, which was feeling insecure and fearful about going online and getting on social media. So let me know if that metaphor is kind of like ringing any bells for you or making you feel like, man, I can relate to that, or that's really super helpful. I would love to know if that resonated. And I'm also going to give you just a simple structure on how you can use this with a buddy. So first, you want to talk about what is their problem and why is this a problem for them? What are some of the stumbling blocks in their current situation? Okay. Then what I want you to do is the second thing is I want you to get them talking about their interests. What are they passionate about? Right? So it gets them a totally different space. And they're not even thinking that these things are related, but we're going to put it all together in the metaphor for them. The other thing is, what are the root problems, right? On an emotional level. What are some of the emotions that are keeping that person from going on live, from sharing on social media, from tuning in to being their authentic, full self now? Jot those down. And then the final piece is bringing up other examples in their life or in the world, really, on how some of those emotional pieces have shown up and how people can actually see the transformation or how they've traversed from point A where they were in their mind to point B of like, yeah, I can totally relate. These also come up here, here, and there. And then you can put together this metaphor. And you can see how we did it here in the support printable. I will recap this one with a few examples so you see that step by step. But that is actually just a phenomenal way that allows the brain to see something with greater clarity. And it also allows you to see like, oh my gosh, one, I may be making such a bigger deal like I was with this whole thing than I needed to. All right. So good morning, Debbie. Nice to see you. Awesome. Great. So that's a big part of what I wanted to share with the practical NLP technique, which can help soften some of those limiting beliefs or sometimes debilitating emotions. That's very useful to get perspective. The other thing, which is the other side of the coin that I want to share with you today, is a 4-step structure that you can utilize, that you should be utilizing in everything that you share in social media. So it's the why, the how, right? And this is so very interesting because, again, there's 2 sides of the coin. We talked about the 80% being mindset, but also that 20 or 30% could be holding you back if it's like, I just don't know what to share or how to share it. So in this 4-part simple structure, and you will notice that I did it today and I did it in the other 2 days of this challenge. It basically is starting with the what, right? And you can jot this down. It'll be on your support printable too. But you want to be always focused on the what, and then the why, and then the how. And step 4 is your call to action. So your listeners or your viewers know what their next right move is. And that is it. It can be 4 simple steps that you can include in everything from a social media post to a blog post to the structure of a video that you share on YouTube. And it starts with the what. And when I think about the what really comes up, and this addresses Sharon's question, is a curiosity hook and the power of headlines. Because when people see the headline of your video, they will make a decision in 2.2 seconds or less, right? If it's going to be worth their time. Right now, we are not at a lack of free information out there. People can pretty much Google for whatever they want 24/7. So one of the ways we stand out in a crowded marketplace and get that curiosity built up is to make sure that we have very attention-grabbing headlines. So best practices are typically 8 words or less, and they usually have some kind of emotion words in there that hook them. Numbers are another great thing that people's minds are very curious with. So one of the things that I just talked about is 4 simple steps to build a winning success formula when you're sharing on social media. So it brings people's curiosity up. There is a great free tool from CoScheduler, and I'll put the link in the notes, but it analyzes your headline based on some emotive words, different words, and how the attention is like increased, and it will actually score you. So I'll share that link because that's super helpful. But when you're thinking about the what stage of my 4-step formula, you want to be thinking about what's in it for the viewer or the reader? Why should they care, right? And how do you hook them in with a powerful headline? The next piece is why, right? Why should I care about this topic? So in the why, what's super helpful are metrics. You'll notice that I did that in the beginning of this video. I talked about the number of users on Facebook and Instagram to show you the broad spectrum of all the people you can get in front of when you increase your online visibility. So you can do this in your own work. Metrics are super helpful. Having science-backed data is super helpful. Having case studies if you're in aromatherapy is super helpful. Having that social proof or data contributes to the why should I care section, which is step 2. Step 3 is the how, because it's not enough to just know the what and the why. I need to know how to do it, because like we talked about at the top of this video and pretty much in all my videos, if you don't take inspired action, it's a waste of time. None of us need more microfiche files being stored in our brain or on our Google Drive. we need to take action steps. And in order to do that, it has to be broken down into a step by step by step plan. And that is the how. So make sure that you're putting in the how for your users. One caveat that I want to say here, because one of the stumbling blocks that I had that I actually continue to work on is not over delivering. We want to give bite-sized takeaways. So keep your hows down to 1 to 3 takeaways. So we're not delivering our content like a fire hose that overwhelms. That's something that I continue to work on because I love this work so much, and maybe you can relate to it in your own work, where once you get going, you just give and give and give, and then the person is like, oh my goodness, that was so much. So keep your hows down to 1 or 3 takeaways. And honestly, if you're consistent, 1 takeaway is powerful enough, and it doesn't have to be long. Step 4 is your call to action. Your viewers need to know, okay, great, now what do I do? And your call to action doesn't have to be a sales cue. It can be, but it can also be, give me some hearts, give me a thumbs up if you can relate, drop some comments in the feed below, go here and check out XYZ resource, or hit me up on my Instagram DM. Whatever it is that is the next right step that you want them to take, you want to include that and have a clear call to action so they know where to go. Make it easy for them to find the button, to click. Make sure you're testing all your clicks when you do your social media post. We don't want them going to a 404 page not found. So definitely do a little, testing there when you do that. Or if you're sharing on Instagram and you only can say link in bio, make sure when they go to your bio that it's very clear what that call to action step was in your social media post. So again, to recap the 4 simple and successful strategies in this structure, that's a lot of S's. I'm a fan of alliteration, but that's a lot of S's. You want to talk about the what with a curiosity hook headline, the why should they care and use metrics for social proof, the how with 1 to 3 takeaways, and the call to action with really clear guidance of what you want them to do next. All right, my friends, your action step today is to put that into place. And I want you to tag me in one of your social media posts so I can cheer you on. You absolutely can do this. And now is the time, right? If not now, when? And honestly, if you're committed to being a successful solopreneur, which I know you are if you're taking the time to listen to this, we can't delay, right? Because honestly, the internet is going to be more flooded than it ever was before because there aren't a lot more choices here. We have to step into this space and commit to ourselves to doing it in a consistent way. Before I let you go, I did promise to talk about how you can do this with ease. And that's a pretty interesting thing because a lot of my people that follow me tend to be introverts. And that was a label that I honestly hid behind for a very long time. And it doesn't mean that you can't do marketing in a way that feels good to you. You do not have to step into something that feels aggressive, pushy, salesy, sleazy, whatever other word that you want to put on there. You absolutely get to choose how you want to implement this. It doesn't mean that you have to post 6 times a day, and it doesn't mean you have to do it in a way that some experts like maybe Gary Vee or other really pumped up online marketing gurus tell you is the only right way. There is never just only one right way. And for something to be sustainable, you have to do it in a way that feels in alignment to you, in alignment to your core values, in alignment to your soul purpose. And that's why it's so very important to get tapped into those big whys and to connect those big whys into what we're doing, right? Because again, like I said before, when you get out of it feeling like it's only about you and your limitation, and you turn it around and think about who needs to hear this, it changes your perspective just as much as that NLP metaphor technique changes your perspective. And sometimes we're just 2 degrees off. And so I want you to know that you're doing way better than you think you are. It just takes a little bit of a shift. And when you make that shift, it's all about practice. You can do this in a very stair-stepped way. My invitation to you is to do one Facebook Live or Instagram Live on your personal page per week, and start there and start talking about something that you're passionate about, that you feel your ideal client audience would get a lot of benefit from. And then I want you to pat yourself on the back and settle into that being a massive win. I don't want you to start thinking you have to create a full-fledged 30-day editorial calendar or more in order to be considered successful in this arena. I want you to start small and create a micro habit that you can lean into every single week, right? We're just looking for progress here. We're not looking for perfection. The other thing that I also want to say is you can deliver a lot of value in 5 minutes. You do not need to do 45 or 60-minute lives in order for them to feel like a valuable training. In fact, with the attention spans reducing and continuing on the decline, I actually see the trend going in micro snippets of information. So lean into that and take advantage of that. Take advantage of trying to become concise with your information, with that what, why, how, and call to action. Try to get that down in a bullet pointed version that you can deliver in 5 minutes live once a week, and then go from there and test and measure. So that is my action step for you. Tag me in your live because I want to cheer you on. I want to be that support system for you, and I want you to have that accountability. We're going to be going deeper a little bit on Friday on this because my Thrive Tribe group coaching program is coming up, where you have a much bigger opportunity to get those things, accountability, to move towards those big full-fledged editorial calendars, to go deeper when it comes up with what topics do I talk about, how do I get my social media pillars organized and formed, how do I clarify my niche so I actually know who I'm talking to and what kind of problems I can solve. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later on this week, but that's coming up. So stick around if you want to go deeper in that. But I surely hope that today's training gave you enough valuable tips to understand some practical ways of how we can get out of our own way and increase our visibility online with ease now. You have the power to change. We can flush any of those old limiting beliefs. Thank them for the lessons that they gave you and dissolve them. Whatever you need to do, let them float away in a balloon into the sky, and commit to yourself that today is a new day and you have everything inside you to make change and transformation. You have the whole macrocosm within your body vessel, within your microcosm. That means you are unlimitless, my friend. You can tap into unlimited potential and create the life and the business that you desire. Can't wait to share more with you tomorrow. We're going to be stepping into how to adopt a sales as service approach in your business. So stick around for that. I'm really having fun sharing with you. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you have any questions at all, you can email me at kc@kcrossi.com. Talk to you soon.